Hello, everyone. This is Linda G. Roberts. You're back in the groove again, coach. I'm a life coach and a certified travel coach, and I specialize in well being, self care, and personal growth through traveling. And today we have a returning guest, Dr. Mouhiba Jamoussi, a certified transformational and relationship coach dedicated to helping professional women navigate the challenges of modern life. With a focus on personal growth and fostering healthy relationships, she specializes in guiding women through issues such as anxiety, conflict, and burnout. Dr. Jamoussi empowers her clients to achieve work life balance, cultivating healthier, wealthier, and happier lives. And today we're having an informal chat about mental health and traveling. Welcome, welcome again.
Hello, hello. What a pleasure to be with you.
It's
I
always a
love
pleasure.
being in your space. Love to be in this space.
Now, today I thought I'd start us off with a quote. And this is the quote by Danny Kaye. To travel is to take a journey into yourself. To travel
Wow.
is to take a journey into yourself. What do you think
Wonderful.
of that?
I think this is how we start traveling when we are little kids, after all, because we are not moving, but we are traveling. You know how little kids start with this imagination,
No.
and then when they start telling you about where they have not moved. You know, they have been at home all the time. And they will tell you all the things they love. So that's the journey within them. That's
Yes,
their imagination. That's their way of traveling when they can't decide when, whether, and how they may travel.
they
So
just travel. That's
they just
right.
travel. They don't need anything to go wherever they want. That's a beautiful point.
I know, and they're not afraid of playing with this imagination either, right? They're free to go wherever they want to go and to dream whatever they want to dream when they're little children.
Absolutely so. They don't
Mhm.
need anything. They don't need any planning. They decide. They choose to travel, and they do. And that's fairy tales, at the very origin of fairy tales. What are they if not our imagination?
Mhm.
And they suit and fit that period of our lives where imagination is the queen.
Yes. So, how I know recently you gave a talk related to mental health, right? Tell us a little bit about this talk, if you don't mind. I want to lead into mental health and traveling as well in just a few minutes, but tell us a bit about that talk related to mental health.
Well, we have noticed lately from COVID on that mental health has been tremendously affected, first by the pandemic and the terrible effect of the pandemic. And later on, throughout the pandemic, all the changes, all the unbelievable earthquake we went through during the period when we had to cope, to stay isolated, to go out and not talk to anyone, to work remote from home. All that created some sort of tsunami that we
Yes.
could hardly go through safely and safely. Now, after that, things have not very much changed, and we have continued to have real mental health problems, but somehow they are connected to needing to adapt. Once again, we needed to adapt to the pandemic, then we
Right.
needed to adapt to post-pandemic period.
Exactly.
And that has led to very, very serious mental health problems throughout the
Mm-hmm.
world.
I know that before the pandemic, some women were afraid of traveling for various reasons. And now some women are even more afraid of traveling, again, for medical, for many different reasons. How do you think women particularly are affected by what happens in a day-to-day life, like from the pandemic and having to adapt to that, and how that could prevent them from traveling more in some cases?
The very idea of traveling during pandemic and right afterwards became dangerous. Remember
Right.
how we could not travel in the first
Exactly.
place. We're not
Yes,
allowed to. And second, when we traveled, we had to wear those masks. And we traveled because we had no one was likely to travel for leisure during that time. This, when something happens, it takes a long time for the effect that no longer has any sense to go away. It stays with us for longer. And that's what has happened to traveling companies.
mm,
So there's this fear of traveling, and also the world has become somehow less pleasant, has become somehow not a very place to even imagine
mm,
with all that is going on throughout the world. Now, again, another point is that more women are now living by themselves.
yes,
Because
that's
when,
true.
when men divorce, they tend to remarry. Women tend to stay by themselves. And
That's
that
right.
is real. That's real loneliness. It's real solitude. And you are not likely to just say, look what, I'm traveling. When you are living as a couple, you are likely to do so. Yes.
That's right.
Not so much
Yes,
when you are living by yourself.
that's
That
right.
means,
Yes, it seems that after a separation or a divorce, for women, it takes them a while to start feeling comfortable by themselves and alone and travel on their own as well. I have quite a few friends that are married and have been married for years, and they do want to start traveling on their own, but they're reluctant because they don't know how. They're used to traveling with their spouse.
yes.
And
Now,
I
the
think,
point is when we say they fear to travel by themselves, the answer you give is you may travel with one another. That is now the new normal.
mm,
We used to travel as couples. Then came a time when we got stuck in thought, what am I going to do? This is true for going out for a drink, going out for a meal. We used to go out as couples. Then it became rather awkward to just go out and sit in a coffee place. And then came a new phenomenon, women going out with women, just as men used to go out with men. And that's a great relief
mm.
for a lot of women.
Is this something that you've noticed even like in
Yes,
your surroundings? Tell me more about that.
yes, yes. There was nothing I could call. I mean, I have never done it, and my friends have never done it. We were in couples, and so even when we went out together as couples,
Right.
couples going out together.
Yes.
Men have always gone out among men when women were cooking, taking care of kids, doing one thing or another. Now we have a new type of society where women too, when they live by themselves, now do that. I have more than an example. First, I have myself lived by myself in the last 20 years. And each one of my friends, yes, was living by herself. And I often said, whether you are. One of us was single, never married. The other was a widow. Other one was separated. The other one was divorced. And I used to say, all the roads lead to Rome because we all end up by ourselves. And so we got together and started going out together.
Right. That's right. So are you saying that now more women, you see more women traveling with other women
Yes,
as opposed to
definitely.
traveling alone?
as opposed to traveling as couples.
Uh-huh.
And the idea of traveling by yourself has
Mm,
never appealed to women, by the way.
mm.
Because what are they going to do just traveling by themselves? Men would always say, I'm going looking for adventure. Less so for women. Because sometimes they would love to travel, visit places, but if the husband is not there for one reason or another, as I mentioned, when they have started traveling as a group of women, and that is as good. I have
Yeah.
done it myself,
Yes.
and it's fabulous. I can never ever think of just picking up my things saying, I'm going someplace. But going with another group, with a group of women, is fantastic. You are by yourself, you are not dependent, and at the same time, you are together. So by
Yes.
yourself and together. That's
Yes,
right.
that's right. And I find that women enjoy other women's company much more than being on their own and traveling alone. I'll give you an example. I have a lady friend who's been married for many, many years, and she has just recently started traveling with other women instead of her husband. And now her and I will be walking from Porto to Santiago de Compostela, and that will be her first trip, more or less alone. But we're going together. But she'll still be on her own for a bit because she'll be walking parts of it on her own. And she was reluctant at first. She, she didn't feel that comfortable in going somewhere by herself, which is why we're going together. But she'll still have the opportunity to walk a little bit on her own too, because of not having done it for 40 years, you know.
Yeah, you're right, because sometimes your partner is either gone, is too old, doesn't doesn't feel like traveling. As simple as that. Or has too much work. This total dependence within the couple, I think, is a thing of the past. And
Mm-hmm.
so when you have the opportunity to travel with other women because the husband doesn't wish to do so, I think it's a great change. And it's a great relief because women were prevented from doing something they could enjoy. And I welcome this. I celebrate this independence within the couple.
Right.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yes. How do you think this is affecting women's well-being? The fact that they can be independent within a couple.
I love this question. I love this question because I often say marriage is a medieval institution. It's an old, old institution. If partners do not now redefine it, reshape it, remodel it, it's not going to work. Because if they cling to it, with the same rules that were there, same definitions that were there, centuries and centuries ago, but there centuries and centuries, it's not work. So they need to somehow liberate themselves from this old definition and say, there's
Yes.
nothing wrong in going and refreshing my brains, my body, see something else and talk about something else. Because most of these couples are retired. They have nothing to talk about anymore. They don't go to work. What are they going to discuss? Nothing much. And so the fact that you go travel and come back with memories, with stories to tell, refreshes them.
Yes. Well, that's the idea, but I think there's also almost a need to give yourself permission to do that. Because when you've been in a couple for X number of years, you almost feel like you shouldn't be doing this, right? You almost feel like he should be coming along. And now you're spreading your wings. And I don't know, it feels like maybe they think they shouldn't be doing that. but yet we know how helpful it is for their
Yes.
mindset, for their mental health, for their well-being, right?
And that's exactly what you are saying is exactly calling on them to redefine marriage. That's
Mhm.
what I meant by defining, redefining marriage. Marriage is not alienation. We used to live in very limited space. The whole family lived. So when you travel half a kilometer to the next
Right.
relative. Today, the world is so much bigger, wider, more varied, uh, more mysterious for a lot of us. And there is no harm. I go back to the idea that marriage needs to be redefined as a lot of freedom within that structure,
I agree.
within that togetherness.
Right.
There needs to be space. And go back to the idea that at an age when most women are approaching retirement or retired, at a time when they would have finished with all the stories to be told, and this enthusiasm, this sort of early passion would have rather gone cooler. Why not revive this common life? Why not revive it through just having something to tell, some
Yes,
story to
of
tell,
course.
some pictures to show? And there's no doubt that traveling in itself now has an extraordinary effect when we do not travel the wrong way. I call it the wrong way is when you don't want to be lonely and alone and you travel alone. That's the wrong way. Don't do it just for traveling.
Right.
Do it because in your imagination, in your vision, you love the idea of being away, but not by yourself,
That's
being with other women. You never know. When we travel, anything may happen. But when you travel with others, you are still by yourself, independent. You enjoy your trip. What if something happens? You have this whole group there to support you to make sure you're not left at a hotel by yourself because something happened. Now,
right.
that's the pleasure, the well-being comes from here. I have nothing to fear. I'm traveling. I'm traveling with other women, and that's my support system. I am their support system. They are my support system. So you
That's
travel with this happy, happy ending there. You
right.
start with a happy beginning.
You know, you bring that up, and I'm just going to share a little bit of my story and then prove that you're absolutely right. Last year, I walked the Del Norte from Bilbao to Santiago de Compostela, and I did it by myself. I did it alone. 90% of the time, I was alone. But I noticed when I had the opportunity to eat with other pilgrims, I was so much happier. I was so much happier
Yes,
because I was
yes,
able to share my experience of
that's
walking with other people, women and men. And you're right. There's something about sharing our experience. Yes, it's the question of safety for sure. I felt safe. It wasn't about that. It was more about the ability to share what I went through with other people that had also gone through something similar to what a
that's
difference.
fantastic.
Hmm.
You've used the keyword share. What is traveling? When you are sharing this, the very moment you are sharing it, you say, look, man, look, oh my God, look at this. Isn't it fabulous? Isn't it wonderful? You need to share this extraordinary thing. You need to speak it out, to show it, and share it. When you are there, looking at this magnificent monument, at this wonderful river, at this extraordinary beach, you need to have someone to speak to so that you remind yourself it's not imagination. That's truly what is going on. And
You're right.
sharing is something else.
Yes, you're right. So, I mean, that's one experience, but I do want to talk a little bit about the value of, and in this case, I'll talk about the Camino, the value of walking a, um, a Camino, a path on your own for self-reflection purposes and and perhaps even mental health.
Now that's why I always say travel with others. You are traveling by yourself when you wish to travel by yourself, and you
Yeah.
are traveling with others when you don't. Traveling with others does not mean you are into constant communication. When you go, and let's go to the beach and spend a couple of hours there, you can be by yourself for 2 hours. When I go swimming, wow, I want to have this peace of mind. I dive and slow down, and I swim, and it's like floating. I'm dancing in the sea. No one is around.
Yes.
It's my choice. If I
Yes.
don't want, for those who don't want to go in the sea by themselves, I bet brilliant. You go with someone and you have a little swim, not far from the beach, and have a little talk and go out happy.
Yes.
It's your choice. When you go in a group, you may choose to be constantly by yourself and you tell the people, I love you all. But from time to time, have the space of my own meditation, and people understand. People understand. Because when you go back to them, you are full of joy and life.
Yes. So that speaks to communication, being honest, being authentic
Yes.
with your friends, and truly being transparent, as well.
Yes.
That's so important because some people, and I've never experienced this personally, but I've heard that when women travel with other women, they think they need to be with them all the time. And that might not be the healthiest thing for other people. It can cause friction. It can cause a lot of problems in that relationship, right? In that friendship.
Here you have brought to my mind two aspects. One, healthy boundaries. We need to establish healthy boundaries.
That's right.
How far can I go? How far can I allow others to go? And my second point, I used to take students abroad. And I just took them abroad. And I realized there was this sort of friction. So I decided to talk with them before we traveled. And we
Mm,
would sit and I would say, look here, tell me what are we think the best rules of connection, communication, and knowledge. And let's talk about it. And here all the points would come out. And they would say it clearly. I think, who thinks so does not. So let's set the rules. Please, if anyone goes for a little while, never ask, where have you been? Why have you not been with us? We were having a lot of fun. Please, please don't do this. Allow each one have the freedom. Enjoy this trip the way they like to enjoy it.
right.
No pressure.
And how good
But
is
it
that
needs
for one's mental health to be that
wonderful.
free, to be that honest, to set those boundaries?
Yeah, absolutely. Because if you go for a couple of hours to have that meditation by yourself and come back to be blamed and shamed, what's the use of it? So you set the rules before. I used to set the rules beforehand so that no one is allowed to trespass. That's the idea.
Yeah. Yeah. In travel coaching, we talk about setting intentions for, that individual's trip, whether they want relaxation, whether they want, I don't know, to feel excitement, whether they want to step out of their comfort zone. But also, if they're traveling with somebody, how are they going to make it their trip and that individual's trip and maybe that couple's trip as well? And this is what you're talking about, the importance of talking before they leave on that vacation together.
I traveled for years and years. I traveled with a friend of mine, and when we went to the hotel room that we were going to share, um, I would be the sort of more reticent to just take the best bed, the closest to the window, the no. So we set a rule. Each time we travel, you choose the bed. Next time, I choose the
Mm.
bed. And it worked perfectly well, just perfectly well,
Mhm.
because it was fair. You spoke of transparency, of fairness, I'm talking about, of clarity, of frankness. These are basic values and rules when we travel together.
Yes,
And it's often said traveling either makes or breaks a relationship.
absolutely. And that's it. And it's true. If they don't think they need to have that type of conversation at the beginning, they're going to notice that there's some little bit of friction, a little bit of conflict that will happen after a few days of spending time together and not being able to, or not feeling they could communicate freely what they want to talk about. And you're absolutely right. It can end a relationship, a friendship.
I've
Yeah.
known people who have known each other for ages. Just a short trip, finish the mark, finish. That was it. None of it anymore. And that is too bad. Whereas they could have sorted it out quite simply before drafting. I myself am very, very interested in conflict resolution. And I
Right.
often say conflict resolution starts before conflict, not after it, not during. Conflict resolution should start before. Let's be prepared for any sort of probable conflict. We set the rules, there is less likelihood of this conflict happening.
It
Simple.
sounds easy to do, okay? It sounds easy to do, but what if they don't have good communication skills to begin with? What, and I know I'm looking at our time here. What would be a few things that they need to consider before communicating something to their partner or to their friend if they're traveling with a friend?
Well, I must say, you choose a friend to travel with. It's a short period, but it's like marriage. Marriage is simply a longer period.
Right.
So, the way you choose a husband, the way you choose a traveling partner, you're going to spend a week. Imagine you were going to spend your life, or just even 10, 15 years. Choose your partner, a set of reasons. Set of reasons. I don't travel with somebody who selfish. I don't travel with somebody who doesn't care about the other side of the bed. Sorry. So you choose, before you choose traveling, before you choose your destination, choose your journey with this partner of yours. That is a partner. Okay for a week, okay for a couple of weeks. It's exactly the same.
Mm,
Don't
good
choose,
point.
don't choose the partner.
Wow. That is a good point because you will be probably in the same room, same space for a number of weeks. Yes, that's right. You better make sure you know who this person is and that you've had a chance to talk with them openly and honestly about what you're hoping to have to gain from this trip. And hopefully they'll share the same thing, what they want to have from this trip, right?
And if they don't go there.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
know, think of the two of us. We never met and we started finding each other quite pleasant. When
Right.
we met, this was confirmed. When we met again, we like each other. So we presume we can travel together. And the opposite does happen. Sometimes you meet someone, and I can tell you within minutes, There's no chance of me traveling with this person.
Mm,
Within minutes, did I have this skill when I was much younger? Maybe not. In this case, I choose people according to my intuition,
yes,
to my guts, to my values. I love sharing. I'm going to choose someone who shares.
right,
I love being with people who have a sense of humor, my sense of humor. I, I love waking up in the morning next to someone who said, "Good morning." I say, "Hi, what a lovely day." And you have people who say, "You know what? I need my half an hour and I'm
right.
gloomy and moody. But give me that half an hour and I'll be fine." I say, "No, I give you nothing. I don't travel with you." And that's simple. And I don't marry you. And that's even much simpler. We have a choice.
We
Let's
have
make,
choice.
yes, let's make an appropriate choice and enjoy life.
And what a good time to maybe, end our call right there. Let's enjoy life, right? Especially as I see the palm trees behind you.
Absolutely. And the sea, and I was swimming a couple of days ago in the ocean because it's still possible here in
Oh,
Oman. But I call my second country, so it's also home for me. I'm Tunisian, I'm Tunisian. I love
yes.
Tunisia. And Oman, I call it my second.
Oh, that's wonderful. Again, we are at the end of our time together. I want to thank you again for bringing to light the importance of choosing who you travel with and communicating before you leave on a trip, communicating what you want from this trip, what your intentions are from this trip. Yeah, thank you.
You're
Is there
so
anything
right.
else you'd like to add before we end our
I
call?
just, I loved having this discussion with you. It was so interactive. You highlighted so many points. You also inspired me, reminded me of my own traveling and what I enjoyed and what I appreciate. And I wish everyone the chance to have a trip, a nice trip, fully enjoyed and coming home and having all these wonderful memories and stories together.
Thank you.